Dean Evans joins us now, all thanks to Winning Edge Investments, to have a look at a couple of races on Caulfield Guineas Day. Good afternoon to you, Dean. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Matt. How are you going?
Yeah, not too bad. Now, this rain that's falling right now in Melbourne, is that having a bit of an impact on the form that you've done for a couple of key races tomorrow?
Yeah, it's still a bit up in the air, isn't it? I'm in Sydney. I'm hearing sort of a soft stick at the moment, and still sort of some showers floating around. So I guess it's there's still a bit of uncertainty around the tracks, and you know, it's been interesting with a lot of the Sydney horses trying to come up to Melbourne for some good weather and with them.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be getting that good weather, at least not today anyway. That might clear up tomorrow, but I think there's a big possibility that we're on a heavy track at Caulfield tomorrow off the back of the rain that we're seeing at the moment. Now, I know the two races you were keen to have a chat to us about are the two-rack handicap and also the Might and Power, which is shaping up to be a bit of a, I guess a dress rehearsal for the Cox Plate. We'll start with the two-rack handicap, though, Dean. I Wish I Win's the Boom horse. It's the short price favourite for Peter Moody. Are you expecting I Wish I Win to go and get the job done tomorrow?
Look, he's certainly a very exciting horse, isn't he? He's one that could come from the clouds and potentially be a Cox Plate horse. He was very impressive visually winning the tester off the last start, and the clock did back 0.3 for the last 1,000 metres. It was the second quickest of all runners on the day, and he was hampered a bit, you know, in getting out during that part. So, you know, he's certainly an exciting horse. You know, the heavy track will be interesting. He's run on wet tracks in New Zealand before and sort of run place things, but I think he is probably a better horse on top of the ground. So, you know, that potentially gives an opportunity for some horses to get a bit closer to him. They usually go very quick in this race historically. In the last 11 years, none of them, you know, have run really quick, sort of +5, +6 for the professionals. So they don't usually you know, stuck around in a race like this. That means horses like Gentleman Roy and Buffalo River, Military Expert, Call Sign, Mav, Tavalu, they're all sort of going to push forward. And they might find it tough, you know, if they go quick in front. It might suit some of those horses that map quite nicely. If I Wish I Win sort of gets down to that sort of skinny 240, 250 range, I think he is beatable. I think, you know, Laws of Indices is a horse that I think is going to win a Group 1 at some point in Australia. He was only beaten 2 lengths first up in the Sir Rupert Clarke, so he's open to more improvement than some of the others who had sort of 2 or 3 runs before the Sir Rupert Clarke. He's only beaten 1.3 lengths in the George Rider. He's beaten 2 lengths in a Golden Eagle, and J-Mac hops aboard here, and he still holds a Cox Plate third acceptance, Laws of Indices. So I thought at sort of $23 he was the value to potentially knock over I Wish I Win. And Burge is the other horse who is dying for a dry track. His last 4 runs he's been on bog heavy, and it was only last beat Animo sort of fair and square in the Randall Guineas. But you know, I think I wouldn't want it to be worse than sort of top 6 to Converge. But I think one is going to really improve. And the other horse is Pinstripe, which sort of flew home for first up to second at Flemington, plus 5.7 the last 800, and again was the strongest closer last up at Sandown of a slow speed. The horse is going to really appreciate the strong speed up front. So, you know, I Wish I Win is a deserved favourite. But with the wet track, you know, I think the likes of Laws of Indices, Converge, Huge Odds and Pinstripes, I think they can knock them off.
Dean, when you look at the Might and Power, Animo had a little bit of a hiccup where he pulled up a bit tender. Zaki was scratched in Sydney, sort of had a little bit of a gap between runs. It's now third up. How do you see this race being run? Do you think they'll pack up because of the wet track?
I think it's interesting. I think that Zaki is a horse, and James McDonald has said this very clearly before, who is not a fit sprint horse. And he was undone, and I think it was deliberate. The Cox target last start we just got outside Alligator Blood, and they ran sort of -7 for the first section and the sprint home, and that's why it just didn't suit Zaki. You know, he got beaten this race last year too. Craig Williams aboard, where again he just went too slow up front. So the trick is knowing what they're actually going to do with him, with obviously the peak race being in 2 weeks' time. But I do think, you know, Zaki, as you said, was coming into that race last start for the second half off a break. Then now he's going to be pretty well cast for his key race only 2 weeks away. But I think that's where they're going to use his high cruising speed, and he races best when he puts that to full use. So I'm expecting Zaki to try to lead Alligator Blood this time. set a really decent tempo. That's where his best chances of winning the race and put the pressure on. And I think with that, I have Zaki on top. I think if he does put that speed on the races, hammer down like he did in the Doomben Cup and other times when he's really run strongly, like in Kinnan Stakes. But yeah, that's when he races best. And I think if he does that, then he'll be too strong for like the Alligator Blood, and I'm just struck to be too far back. Animo is interesting. I think what's interesting, the form out of the horses he's beaten with Fangirl and Bondo and Ice Bath and Hinge, although he's beaten them well, they've all been quite disappointing, sort of following on from that. He was lame 3 out of 5 last start, and that's kind of the profile that I want for a sort of horse at that $2.32 or $2.40 mark. So I'm quite keen on Zaki. I think if they ride him forward and ahead of Alligator Blood, then you'll know that he's on. I thought that the danger of a bit of odds was small under. It was just an excellent run, from a sectional perspective. His closing second in the Underwood was sort of the best run of the race. And if you sort of take that run on face value, then I think he's right in the mix here as well. And when what's going to be a really exciting dress rehearsal for the Fox.
Dean, any other tips in Melbourne or in Sydney if we're having one best bet this weekend?
It's a bit tricky in Sydney. I'm not sure if the race is even going to go ahead, but a horse I've got a lot of time for that was very impressive sectionally around its sort of quicker closing sectionals. Last up was Regal Line, and there's a talented horse. He used to be with Murray Baker. He's now with Niche, and he ran very well on the lead up to the Derby last year, ran place in the New Zealand Derby. I think he's really going to appreciate stepping up to 2,400 metres, and I think he looks a really good chance in the Herbert Power to try and qualify for a Caulfield Cup.
Yeah, Cozzy's really keen on him. Hey, Dean, appreciate your time this afternoon on Big V Racing. Just steer the punters to where they need to go if they want to get involved with Winning Edge Investments. Yeah, they just head to winningedgeinvestments.com, go to membership options, look at the variety of services that we have and what suits them best. If they type in the promo code RSN, they'll get a 50% ongoing lifetime discount. Terrific stuff. Good luck over the weekend on Caulfield Guineas Day. Cheers, mate. Enjoy. There is Dean Evans. All thanks to Winning Edge Investments joining us on Big V Racing. It is 12 minutes to 1 o'clock.